Welcome back to At Home with Roby. I'm Patrick McIsaac from Roby Electric and W.H. Hobbs Plumbing. And we are without Trent Haston today. Trent is the normal host of At Home with Roby. We are actually have two hosts. It takes two people to replace Trent. And that's Turnbull Pursley and Matt Young from Roby Commercial. And if you've been listening, we have two lovely guests in the studio with us from HSM Core, Carrie Deaton and Leah Williams. And we had to cut it off and go to break on the second segment. If you missed the second segment, check out our podcast, second or first segment. And you were talking about acousticians. Did I get that right? I had to say that like 6 times during the break, so I knew I was saying it right. Or an acoustical engineer, and the requirements, talking about your build-out at the Stonecrest location that was obviously completed by Roby Commercial, that those requirements, I mean, he said a foot off of each wall to make sure that obviously with exercise comes loud music to try to be a good neighbor to your tenants. So let's talk a little bit about that. I think that's a cool thing that you've done.
Yeah, and actually in terms of requirements, that was...
all you, right?
That was all us, because not only do we want to be a good neighbor, but in our leases, in the lease, you're required to be a good neighbor. And, you know, we want to have a successful business, and, you know, the upfit, especially with this extra acoustical work, was expensive. And so we need to make sure we could stay within the law of the lease and not violate anything with these loud music coming into retail space that's used to muzak behind the scenes. Oh yeah, I mean I think that's really cool to discuss. I mean Turnbull, during the project, I mean how did you factor that in? I mean what had to be done from a construction standpoint?
Well, the acoustician, I hope I said that right. He actually gave us a diagram, and I think he came in and did some testing before that on the actual space, and he. Ran his numbers, his algorithms, I guess, whatever he does, and told us exactly how to build it within the parameters to keep it the certain decibel level down.
Well, that's cool. We obviously talk about workforce development in this show in the construction industry, and that's just one more interesting job that is part of this industry that, you know, if someone's listening out there, we talk about the opportunities in the construction world. I mean, being an acoustician, I'm sure, as we learn, those guys aren't cheap, so it's probably a pretty viable profession. But before we dive into, I want to talk a little bit about the relationship, Leah, that you have with Andrew Roby, the Roby family of companies. It goes back quite a while. But I want listeners who have heard the first couple of segments and have heard about the Megaformer. Maybe it would be worth just kind of saying what that is one more time. And I'm going to ask you, Carrie, what is the best way for someone to sign up? How does the plan work? How often do I go? Every day? Do I go twice a week?
So you can sign up for the Megaformer to work out at HSM Core on our website. It is class by class, so you are not signing up for a full membership. We find that people like the flexibility of that. It's $15 to try your first class. We also have a new client special. It's 10 classes for $169. So it really is a good entry point to try the Megaformer to get started at HSM Core.
Well, business lesson of the day, and you said it directly, is don't lock people into a long-term contract if you have a good product. If you really stand behind your product, like you do, you don't need to lock people into a long-term contract, right?
Right. People, a lot of people are doing so many different things to work out now. They're incorporating weight training, running, cycling, yoga, and so to fit that all in, people like the flexibility of a class-to-class basis. And they'll come anytime from 2 to 5 times a week, just depending on what their other training looks like.
That's wonderful. Okay, now, Leah, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, okay? You have been you and your husband, Ben, have been an Andrew Roby client for over 17 years.
That's correct.
17 years is a long time, especially, you know, we're contractors. We're known to, you know, mess up every now and again. So what has kept you around so much? I mean, I know Travis Haston, who we're going to get on this show one day, is a close contact of yours.
He is. And I was referred to Andrew Roby 17 years ago. We had just moved to Charlotte, and I needed a very small job done. And my neighbor was one of the premier cabinet builders in Charlotte named John Busman. And I asked him who he worked well with in Charlotte. And he mentioned Andrew Roby. And what has stuck with me is something he said. He said, Andrew Roby always has the attitude of can do. And he said, I find a lot of other contractors explain to me why things cannot be done. He said, but I've always found Andrew Roby says, okay, how can we make it work? And I've found that to be true for 17 years.
Well, now, who was your initial contact with the company?
Well, my little job that I hired Roby
No
for.
job is too small now.
Okay, all right, that's true. Probably one of the smaller jobs, but actually I was kind of shocked. The president of the entire company, Mr. Haston, actually came, and I remember him giving me the estimate. And I remember apologizing because it was a small job. It was just retiling a small area in my bathroom. And he said basically the same thing you did. No job's too small, and we want to be here for the next job.
Well, there's another business lesson in that, because you're right. We want to be there for the next job. And I think a lot of people think about that, whether you're in construction or you're in any industry, that take the small things, don't take them for granted, because they turn into a lifelong customer like you, 17 years. And I think we've done plenty of other projects that were probably a lot more substantial. I believe a garage.
Yeah, we have a detached garage. We did a complete interior rebuild of my kitchen. Continued ongoing relationship in terms of maintenance of my house, but that has turned into a commercial relationship for the company I work for, which
Yes.
I was thrilled. I asked if they'd be willing to bid for it, and was thrilled that y'all were competitive, and we chose you over 2 other bids.
Well, and the sort of underlying theme of this show, and if you listen to the first segment, you can hear us talk about it, is relationships and how important they are. It's something that comes up in this show quite often. And Matt Young, who's with Roby Commercial, is one of the best relationship builders I've met in a while.
Too kind.
But Matt, talk about that a little bit. I know we discussed this on the first segment, but talk about your relationship in Turnbull, obviously our new relationship on the commercial side with Leah and Carrie and HSM.
Yeah, I mean, we're a very relationship-driven business. We've done projects for certain clients we've done up to 60 projects with one of our senior living clients. And that's what kind of we hope to build with HSM. They're great business that's going to grow, and we want to grow with you guys. And you kind of hit on working with females in an all-female business, and it's actually a lot easier on us because they're not quite as demanding, and they kind of just let us do our thing, and they were great partners on this project.
Well, I think a lot of this comes down to, we talk about relationships, but it's trust. I mean, you have to trust the partners that you're working with. And if I'm going to partner with you to build my body, I got to trust that you're putting me into the right program. And that's what you specialize in in your profession, just like we do on the construction side. I mean, it boils down to trust and relationship. We got a couple more minutes, guys. I want to talk about, let's go in a little bit more on the HSM side. Again, let's talk about how people can find you. Tell me your locations. This is marketing Carrie's turn.
So HSM Core, we have 2 locations. One is in Midtown on Kings Drive. The second location is in the Stonecrest Shopping Center off of Ray Road in South Charlotte. You can find us at hsmcore.com. You can find us on our Instagram feed at hsmcore, C-O-R-E. We also have our parent company, Hilliard Studio Method, in Myers Park.
Well, also, talk about the videos again, just because if someone missed the last segment, they didn't hear an easy way to go on and engage with you all through.
So on Instagram, we're constantly posting pictures of the studio, pictures of the Megaformer, videos of people doing the moves. We've got some coaches showing off, showing you everything that can be done on the Megaformer.
Good. Matt, go ahead, Matt.
No, I was just going to make a comment here before we close up that it makes an excellent gift for your wife, your girlfriend, your daughter, your mom even. I mean, it's a great gift for all females, even males as well. So.
Well, I was just going to say that you listed all females when you listed off the gift.
He's scared of the Megaformer.
Turnbull told me he was the only male to show up, so that's what made me.
Well, our head coach for HSM Core is a gentleman named Arthur Pulley, who is kind of the heart and soul and energy of it. But I would say that, what percentage, Carrie, would you say are men?
Probably about 30 to 40%, depending on the class time you hit.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you're getting a lot of the athletes now too. Some of the Panthers.
We do. We had the luxury of hosting Thomas Davis and his wife.
Cool.
For several classes prior to preseason this year, and he even said, "I wish I had found this workout all throughout off season."
Well, that is
That's
really
awesome.
cool. Leah, Carrie, thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you for your business. Thank you for your long-term relationship. Thank you for trusting Roby for all your projects, both residentially and commercially. Now we can help you with plumbing as well. If you want to build a store, call Roby. If you want to build your body, call HSM. We'll be right back.